For people that are listening to this podcast, which is largely law firm owners and entrepreneurs, I mean, I remember seeing when you've got Navy SEALs wearing whoops and you see elite athletes. For me, I was initially drawn to that because if they're wearing it, as almost like a corporate athlete, that's, I look for any sort of competitive edge. But what would you say would be some of the benefits to just candidly entrepreneurs who may not be elite athletes or may not even want to be, but just still want to optimize their performance?
Well, the exciting thing about being an entrepreneur is you're trying to take on a level of stress that will break most people. You're trying to overcome that in the pursuit of building something special. And I've felt that firsthand, for the last 8, even 10 years, thinking about Whoop and building Whoop. And there are points in building anything where it's like overtraining. You feel like you've hit a wall. You feel like you've got nothing left. And so that's the analogy for Whoop for the entrepreneur, is there's 2 ways to think about adding more balance to your life, right? The first way, and this is the way that most people recommend, is, oh, well, you've just been putting too much stress on your body, so you need to take on less stress. And that's fine. I mean, we do that with consumers every day, right? We show them you didn't sleep well, your body's run down, do a little less today. But the other way that's actually less talked about, that's more important for entrepreneurs, is how can you actually take on the same level of stress, but be more recovered and be more rested so that you can keep taking it on. And so what I encourage entrepreneurs to think about is, what are all the habits that they can embody that actually allow them to maintain a high output for a long time? There's always this analogy of, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? That actually misses the point, because the best marathoners in the world are running like a 4-minute mile, and most people can't even run a 4-minute mile. You know what I mean? So you have to be all out really for a long, long time, and at a pace that most people can't handle. And so that's where Whoop can come into the picture, and we can help an individual figure out, in your life, what do you need to change or optimize to be more optimal? Like, let's talk about sleep for a second, right? You spend a third of your life sleeping. And in general, people think, well, I'm a busy person, I just can't get enough sleep, that's going to be me for the rest of my life. Well, that's a super suboptimal way to lock in the rest of your life, because you may still have a set period of time even that you can sleep, and you're not making that as optimal a period of time as it could be. So let's say that you're that person who says, I can't spend more than 6.5 hours in bed. That's all I've got. Okay, fine. Let's say that that's all you've got. There's still a lot of ways within that 6.5 hours to dial you in, right? So what Michael, about measuring your body with Whoop is that sleep is not just the number of hours you spend in bed. There's the stages of sleep. So within that 6.5 hours, how much time are you actually spending asleep? Let's start there. So maybe that's now 6 hours. Maybe that's 5.5. Hell, for some people, that's 3, unfortunately. And then within that time you're asleep, how much of that is REM and slow wave sleep? So REM sleep is when your mind is repairing itself. It's cognitive repair. It's when you're dreaming, right? So if you're an executive, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a lawyer, or you're a high-performing individual, you need to repair cognitively, period. If you're trying to learn something, oh my gosh, you need to repair cognitively. Slow wave sleep is when your body produces 95% of its human growth hormone. So people think they get stronger in the gym. They're actually breaking their muscles down in the gym. You get stronger during sleep. That's when you're repairing your muscles. If you take that person who spends 6.5 hours in bed, and they can all of a sudden go from getting an hour of REM and slow wave sleep to getting 4 or 5 hours of REM and slow wave sleep, that person has just changed their life. I mean, completely changed their life. And I'm not exaggerating that one bit. It is a profound lifestyle shift and performance shift. I think people tend to be incredibly short-sighted about sleep, because you can only really manage it if you measure it. And we're not talking about massive, massive changes. I mean, we can go into some of the different lifestyle tips, but sometimes it's just little tweaks, and all of a sudden you just feel so much better.